Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Hayate for a Tier 8 Japanese premium destroyer, campaign reward ship from a couple months back. Space Fishman there. He's Tanaka basically with a couple tweaks. You don't have him. Tanaka's your main man for most of the Japanese destroyers, the torpedo boat focused ones. Crash Zone Domination Mode is the name of the game. And what are we talking about here? How to win games. Most of my destroyer videos are about how to win games because destroyers are the pieces that are responsible for winning and losing the games. They're the scoring. They're the offense of your team. Okay, it's like whether you're American or everyone else. There's two different versions of football. We call it soccer around these parts. That'll cause a few of you guys to roll your eyes across the ponds. But here we got our own version of football. Both of them, though, complex team games, right? Let's say you're one of the dudes in the offense in the soccer field, football field, whatever you want to call it. Well, if you're hanging out towards your goal, your own goal the whole game, everyone in the crowd is going to be saying, what the hell is going on with that guy? Doesn't seem like he really knows what's going on. Well, the same thing for destroyer players. A lot of your teammates, at least the ones that know what they're doing, are probably saying to themselves, what the hell's that guy doing? If they see you doing anything but attempting to capture and control these bases in domination mode game. The roles change a little bit in capture the base mode, and we got a lot of coverage on that difference in strategy with those. In fact, one either earlier or later this week. Stay tuned or check that out on the channel. A little bit different, but the same idea, right? We're still there doing defined roles. The battleships and the cruise, I'd say the cruisers are probably more defensive in nature overall, even though they have a very high offensive output in terms of damage, right? They can cause the most damage per minute out of any ship in the game, the cruisers. But what are they trying to do? They're trying to prevent the enemy from moving forward, or various other cruisers are there to punish destroyers who are trying to get into the scoring area. The radar cruisers are there to counter the destroyers. The other cruisers are there to counter the cruisers and battleships and take shots at destroyers whenever they get them. Same thing with battleships. We're primarily trying to prevent travel in between lanes is the main thing. Lobbing shells at dudes downrange, lobbing shells at you the whole game. Not important. That's what most battleship players do, but that has no impact on the game in terms of wins or losses. Same thing with destroyers. I got guys that pop up once in a while. Oh god, look at out here. This could be a short game if we don't dodge these. A lot of destroyer players, you'll see them pop up online once in a while. Hey, I got 200,000 damage and we lost the game. Oh, really? How many bases did you capture that game? What's a base, they say. We don't know what that is. The maps on the top left there, those circles A, B, and C, those are the bases. That's what you're there to do. Capture them, control them, contest them. We got A, we're leaving A. Why is that? Well, that's a debatable call. Questions arose when I was making the play, but I'm saying to myself, B looks easy to grab. A, we already control. It's going to take them a minute to flip that. We got 3 dudes there. I'm hoping the cruiser can push into the base, kill the destroyer. He's going to be better at that than the Hayate. I could definitely stick around there and do that, but I'm trying to grab quick caps here because red is overrunning C at this moment. The blue team's just letting them move into C. We don't want that to happen. We want 2 bases to their 1, if not 3 to 0 would be ideal, but we need the majority of bases generating points. That's how we win games. All right, your win rate goes way up if you're controlling the background scoring. If you're only relying on, I'm going to try and knock out every ship on the enemy team. At best, if you're playing against 100% other players that are employing the same strategy, then you're 50-50, right? 50% win rate in this game, no offense to a lot of you guys that probably have that. It's not what I would consider a good win rate. It's slightly above average or average, but there's room for improvement. But that's in an ideal world where everybody is really not trying to win the game as far as I'm concerned. The problem you run into is if red team has 3 people that are trying to capture and control bases and you only have 1 on your team, then you're at a severe disadvantage. Then you guys that are employing we're trying to knock everyone out strategy, now you're talking about a 30% chance to win, 35, 40%, way below 0, which makes you, frankly, a bad player. Don't take offense. Again, all you got to do is learn how to play the game, and it's quite easy to get better at playing. And not everybody that understands how to play the game is going to be outstanding. Not everyone's going to have a solid win rate, but it's a lot more fun if you're trying to actually win the game, trying to employ the strategy, trust me. All right, so we got B contested here. We got the battleship here, and we're doing the first suicide rush. I think we'll get 2 suicide rushes this game. Aim point. We're going to launch one behind him in case he reverses, and we're going to launch one in front of him, right? We hit the back end of his ship and then behind the ship for the first launch, and we aimed at the front end of the ship and in front of it for the second one. Look at him. He's slamming on the gas. He's trying to dodge the torps. We're taking that option away. We hit him once in the back, and then boom, he got him there with the follow-up salvo. Don't aim everything on the indicator. Those guys are going to try and react to you. Suicide rushes are called suicide rushes because you're probably going to die unless you execute it pretty well. And we deployed the smoke there, cut off our line of sight, stayed out of those proxy spot distances there. And then we varied the launch point, blew them up, freed up the cap. Now we can capture B. Now the decision is, do we go back into A, try and reclaim that? That cap's currently generating points for the red team. Or look at red. They had the huge advantage on C, sailed through the cap. They kept getting reset, fair enough. But that cap's right there for the taking. So I'm evaluating. I'm mostly looking at the map here. I'm sure I'm zooming out on these guys, trying to see what the situation is, what they're doing. But we're trying to figure out, okay, is it going to be easier for me to get A, which is the more high priority target, or C is kind of for the pickings? Why is it higher priority? Because we can shut off their scoring. Right now it's countering our scoring on B, so that would be the equivalent of gaining a cap. Oh, and then by the way, we add that cap into our own point generation. That's like a 2-point swing, capturing a base that's red already controls. If it's neutral, then it's kind of a 1-point swing is how you want to conceptually visualize that. Why am I not doing that? Because there's destroyers over there, and that's really why I left A in the first place, is because those destroyers sailed around the edge of the cap. They didn't get hit by the zoning torp. One of them got on A, the other one we don't know what they're doing, but there's a lot of unknowns. The cruiser there, who's really good at countering those destroyers, better than the Hayate, he's gone now, and then the battleship's turning tail and running. You can see one red destroyer in between those two islands last seen there. I didn't know that part of the map existed, but nevertheless, that's where he is. But the other one's in a more relevant position. So I'm saying to myself, okay, we need B. We got the center cap. We need another cap, A or C. C looks a lot easier. So we're going to take the time to come over here. We're certainly not launching torps during this. We're not shooting the guns. So, from a damage production standpoint, we're really not doing much here. But what you don't want to get bogged down in as a destroyer player is thinking damage is what I'm here to do. Damage is what you get while you're doing your jobs, right? 100% of the time, you ask me 1,000 times if I would rather have a destroyer capture 3 or 4 bases in a domination mode game, and get 0 damage, or a destroyer who gets 200,000 damage, which is an extraordinarily high damage output for a destroyer game, and 0 caps. All right, so you got 3 or 4 caps plus 0 damage, or 200,000 damage plus 0 caps. Every single time I will take the destroyer doing 0 quote-unquote offense, the 0 damage, because that is not the offense. The scoring is the caps here. Now, is that going to translate 1,000 out of 1,000 times the destroyer playing the caps is going to win and the other one's going to lose? No. The reason this game is interesting is because the situations can vary to such a great extent that playing the same strategy doesn't always yield the same results, right? Sometimes the guy smoking 3 or 4 battleships will win the game, whereas the guy trying to play the caps, maybe they got 3 other guys on the red team that are playing the caps aggressively. They kill the destroyer. Well, in that case, the damage-minded destroyer might actually win the game, whereas the cap one wouldn't. But I guarantee you, it's probably about 2/3 of the time, or more. It's probably actually more about 80 or 90% of the time where the destroyers that are playing the caps are going to have the better chance to win. Okay, it's very rare that a destroyer is going to single-handedly win the game just based on doing a bunch of damage. And in fact, the easiest targets for the destroyer to do damage against, which are the backline Bettys. You see these destroyers who try and get behind the enemy's spawn and then torp them from behind. Those are the most likely way you're going to get those super high damage games, and that is such a poor strategy that you're probably going to be losing at least 50% of those games, which is outrageously bad. All right, you got to view this game like baseball. If you're familiar with that sport, It's 160 games long or whatever, and it's all about averages, right? A good batting percentage is to get on base a third of the time, right? Which in a lot of areas of life, success 1/3 of the time would be disastrous. Not so. In a game where it's all about averages, that's actually a really good percentage. Same thing here. We want to make the plays that are on average going to help us win the game. If you're trying to win the game, if you're here to just dick off and buff your Dewey and blast guys, that's fine. This isn't, I appreciate you watching the channel, but my content isn't geared towards you. Sure, we'll put up some rippers once in a while that you can try and emulate, but my focus is actually trying to win the game and trying to increase win percentages. So that's what we're focused on here. Elbing, there's one of them. You can see the other Elbing spotted on the 10 line. My God, what a horrible position for any destroyer in a domination mode game. Again, these guys are in spots I've never even seen before in person. I've maybe seen my teammates down there once in a while, but no reason for a destroyer. Oh, he torped the dude that was back there. Cool. What was the dude that was back there doing? Lobbing shells downrange, doing 5,000 damage every 30 seconds. Okay, cool. Well, killing that guy did nothing to help you win the game. So there he is right there. Now we'll get to him when we get to him. He is important. Now that he's coming back, it's taken him a couple minutes to get back into a relevant position. And he is a threat, right? We're tied in ships, scoring very tight, okay, because it took a while to get those ships there. We got more weight on our team. So this is a very tight game. This is their last destroyer. We don't want to get hit with those torps either. So we're going to try and get rid of this guy here. But my goal, if we could flip that last cap, then if we can increase the score enough and pull the clock or wear the clock down enough, then I can win the game just by sailing off and not get sunk, right? So this Elbing, this misguided Elbing, no offense to him. Hopefully he's watching and he's learned his error of his ways since then, or if not, hopefully he's learning from this video. But he does present a threat, right? These other guys, the Azuma, he can't really find me if I don't want him to, but he is guarding their scoring generating cap. So he's in a very good position. The other guys are kind of squeezing us, right? So it's a very difficult position for me to get onto A, which is why I'm not doing anything too risky to do that, right? I don't want to lose this destroyer, which is potentially an out, right? If we can kill their destroyer and the score doesn't get too unruly, I can single-handedly win the game just by staying alive. That's my main goal at this point in time. But how are we going to do this? We want to pressure this. I'm kind of trapped now. We got guys to our south. We got this Azuma, whose plane, by the way, is about to spot me most likely. And we got dudes to our north. As a destroyer, we don't want to get surrounded like this. Creates very difficult situations where sometimes we can't get out of them. But we've just kind of gotten forced into this with the red team's positioning. Now we're trying to move forward here. We would love to blast this Azuma. Once he's gone, we can really declare this game more or less over, hopefully. And look at all this HP. We got just shy of 19,000. We got a lot of playmaking currency. Elbing pressuring from the back. He's the one spotting us previously. But we do have Suicide Rush number 2. Now look at his position. He's behind that island there. If we launch at the first available, we'll be launching directly into his nose, which is relatively easy to dodge. We'll see what the aim point is here. Probably launch one on that line there. And then do we want to hold or do we want to account for, well, there we were kind of getting wrecked, right? We're taking a lot of damage. We're getting spotted. We got multiple guys that can shoot us. So we're just throwing those torps out there. Is it a throw? Is it not? Ooh, he got on there. But engine busted. Are we going down? Likely, yes. Elbing, well, we're going to take shots at him. His support to the north is outside of our max firing range, so we aren't getting spotted currently by firing. That was very close. All right, if we go down there, he's got a minute and a half to reload his torps and Suicide Rush our battleship, and red actually wins that game. So we will now move into A. We'll get the 4th cap of the game. That'll boost our score a little bit. That'll ensure the win. That was a Herculean effort to win this game, all right? We were trying to discuss destroyer strategy and the approach to the game in general, so we weren't focused on the minute play-by-play as much here, but take it as a whole. We were going cap to cap to cap to cap. Once we had B, we had C, we had our 2/3 scoring advantage. Then the next play is, let's try and defend B. Okay, well, what's the threat to B? Unless they're actually putting battleships, cruisers on there, defending B involves killing the destroyers. We got rid of some destroyers, helped get rid of them. spot them, whatever, shoot at them, and the threat to be diminished. Took a long time to fully diminish it, but you can see how late it took into this game to actually to say to ourselves, okay, that game is now wrapped up. All right, and that is basically, if your destroyers, if you got another dude in a destroyer who's not playing the caps and you're on this blue team, this is a loss, okay? You need to understand that. So by trying to increase our win rate, especially as a destroyer player, you need to understand a lot of it rests on your shoulders, unfair or not. I mean, it's a relatively high pressure position to be playing in this game, but you need to know what you're doing. You need to stick to the game plan, more or less. All right, that's a look at the Hayate for you guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.